March 21st is the International Day for the Elimination of Racial Discrimination. I never knew about this day much until about 5-10 years ago, and I know people have been celebrating it for over 30 years in this community. But I'm really excited to share with you a video of youth and their responses to this day. I'm sure they'd never heard about it either, but the topic is very real, very prominent, and very important to them. I hope you enjoy this video. Volunteer Waterloo Region is very proud of this group of youth, the staff that put together this, and the co-op student as well who's helped with the editing. We hope you enjoy it. Thank you so much, and be sure to take some time to think about how we can share with youth the positivity, the hope, and the promise of good people and good intentions on the impact of changing our world.
Google defines discrimination as the unjust or prejudice of different categories of people or things, especially on the grounds of race, age, or gender. Racial discrimination holds a different meaning to every individual. For me, it means discriminating others based on factors they cannot control, such as their skin color.
I believe discrimination develops when people become insulated from diversity. Much of a fight against racial discrimination depends on encouraging others to learn from new perspectives and become involved in community endeavors, just like this one.
We have self-driving cars, yet racial discrimination still exists to this day. Racial profiling still exists, overt racism still exists, and stereotyping people of color still exists. It's unfair that people of color are constantly being mistreated and having to fight to have the same opportunities as everyone else.
The world we live in today is far from perfect. We see, hear, and observe every day events about war, famine, violence, pollution, hatred, and sorrow. I could be wrong, but I think that there is no perfect world. However, there is a better world, a happier one in which everyone is happy and content with themselves, and we treat one another with respect.
Racial discrimination requires social responsibility. It is your responsibility to speak up, take action, and understand your own privilege.
It is going to take all of our efforts to fight racism. The first step is to examine your own biases and consider where they may have originated from, and learn to recognize and understanding your own privilege. Then comes validating the experiences and feelings of people of color.
Eliminating racial discrimination is a huge undertaking, and every person has a role to play. Education is critical. People must be informed as to how racial discrimination arises and the different forms it can take. We must also teach each other to empathize and celebrate differences with one another.
Another thing that we learn is that when people are included, when they feel empowered to take an active role in their communities, we get new ideas, more effective problem solving, and at the end of the day, a much greater chance of success. So, not only are equity and belonging absolutely necessary for ethical reasons, they're also going to help us save the world.
What I think we can do to eliminate racial discrimination is to stop the stereotypes that society has made us believe are true. We can do this by learning more about racism, educating the people around us on racism, and calling out racial discrimination when we see it.
My vision for a better world is everybody coexisting peacefully, regardless of their race.
What I envision for a better world is a world where everyone is treated equally. I know that this is such a common and simple answer, but I truly believe if everyone was treated equally, a lot of problems in the world could be solved. If we didn't have biases based on someone's look, status, or race, the world could be a much better place for all.
I believe a better world is one in which access to health, education, opportunity, and happiness is ensured regardless of one's personal beliefs, abilities, or background.
One of the first things that we learn in our environmental program is that there is no climate justice without social justice. That equity and belonging are fundamental human dignities, and that everybody has a right to opportunity and justice.
Imagine a perfect world. Citizens are truly free to think independently. Citizens have no fear of the outside world. Citizens live in a harmonious state. The natural world is embraced and revered.
Today, I celebrate the diversity in my community and the work from many local organizations that are seeking change.
International Day Against Racial Discrimination is a day where we can celebrate our different cultures and acknowledge how we as a society need to improve our ways of thinking. It's also a day for everyone to come together and share what we can do to eliminate racial discrimination once and for all.
The fight against racial discrimination requires attention every day of the year. With that said, International Day Against Racial Discrimination is extremely important because it provides an opportunity to reflect on the progress we have made and the challenges we are still overcoming on this issue.
As Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said, injustice for one is injustice for all.
I'd like to end off with a question. What is one way that you can bring about equity and belonging in your circles, whether that be a school, your broader community, or your families?
Racism shouldn't exist. We are failing as a society if it still exists. I say this because human beings pride themselves on being able to learn from their mistakes. And if one of the biggest mistakes throughout history, that being racism, still has not been resolved, then do we really have the right to pride ourselves on it? I don't think so. The majority of mankind agrees that racism is wrong, and they're right. There are some people who don't view racism as wrong because they are sometimes influenced by their surroundings. However, I believe that we were all taught at a very young age that all humans are equal and one's race should not be grounds to discriminate one person from another. Now, I understand it's naive to think that one video will change the minds of everyone who is racist. However, I'm here to ask you to do this one simple thing. If you're thinking of saying or acting in a racist way, then take a deep breath and wait and think about how it would feel if those same thoughts or actions were being directed towards you based on your race. Now, if all of us started doing that, then slowly but surely, perhaps we can end racism.